Funny how a kid can grow up on the same cracked sidewalks, watch the same sirens race down the same broken streets, and still believe the world can be better. Malik Carter believed that. 20-4 years old. Broad shoulders from carrying groceries for his mama, kind eyes like his father, skin the color of Georgia clay, heart full of ideas most folks called foolish. This is Injustice Voice. My name's David, and today, I need you to hear this story. If you believe in standing tall, even when the world tries to fold you in half, subscribe, share your thoughts in the comments. Because what happened to Malik, it happens in quiet corners every day. But today, we speak it loud. See, Malik wasn't supposed to want the badge. Not where he came from. His neighborhood sat on the south side of Atlanta. Rows of worn-down brick apartments leaning on each other like old men with tired knees. Corner stores with bulletproof glass. Playground swings that creaked more than they swung. Police cars rolled through. But they didn't bring peace. They brought fear. Tickets. Trouble. Sometimes worse. But Malik, he saw something else. As a boy, he watched old Officer Daniels, one of the few black cops in the area, tie his shoes for a kid crying on the curb. He saw how the uniform could mean safety. If the right person wore it. So while his friends dreamed of rap studios or hoop scholarships, Malik dreamed of patrol cars and crisp blue uniforms. They laughed at him for that. You trying to be one of them? His boy Marcus would joke, head shaking, gold chain swinging. Nah, Malik always answered. Trying to be one of us, but with a badge. His mama, Lord, she prayed on that. Karen Carter worked double shifts at Grady Memorial. Wiped tears from strangers' faces while worry stacked up in her own chest. She didn't trust those sirens. Didn't trust the blue lights. Didn't trust the badge. But she trusted Malik's heart. His father, Jerome, was quieter about it. A janitor for the city school board. Hands rough from years of scrubbing floors, fixing what other folks broke. He'd seen enough to know the badge came heavy. He never told Malik to stop. But his eyes, they carried the history his mouth never spoke. Still, Malik pressed on, graduated high school with decent grades. Kept his record clean, despite the temptations on every corner. Took community college classes. Volunteered at the rec center. Always with one goal in his chest, like a steady drumbeat. Change starts inside the academy. Inside the precinct. Inside the uniform. The day the acceptance letter came. Lord, you'd think the boy got into Harvard. Malik opened that envelope with shaking hands. Read the words twice, 3 times. Academy training, orientation, his name. Printed clear as day on official paper. Karen cried. Jerome gave that small, proud nod only fathers know how to give. His friends, they clowned him. They warned him. Watch your back in there, Malik, Marcus said, voice low with the weight of experience. They don't love us, never have. Malik just smiled, but the words stuck. Like glass beneath the skin. Orientation came fast. Rows of fresh recruits, pressed uniforms, nervous energy filling the academy like static. Malik walked in, shoulders square, pride stitched into every step, but the stares hit quick. Most faces didn't look like his. They looked like Buckhead suburbs, country clubs. Generational privilege wrapped in crisp cotton. Some eyes lingered longer than they should. Whispered jokes slid across the room, quiet but sharp. Didn't know they let those neighborhoods in. One recruit muttered, not knowing Malik heard him, but Malik stayed cool. His mama raised him better than to fight every shadow. The instructors were worse. At first, it was subtle, nicknames, Hood Boy, Project Patrol. The occasional sly remark about stolen cars or suspicious cousins. Malik kept his head down. Took the tests. Ran the drills. Watched. Learned. But the cracks in the foundation? They showed early. Ride along started after a few weeks. real streets, real situations. Malik's first patrol, he sat next to Officer Denton, a broad, red-faced man with years behind the wheel and opinions that smelled like stale cigarettes and old prejudice. They rolled through Malik's old neighborhood. "Watch them corners," Denton muttered. "You know how your people get after dark." Your people, Malik's jaw tensed, but he let it pass. For now he thought about Officer Daniels, the man who tied shoes, gave candy, showed up at cookouts even when off duty. That's the kind of cop Malik wanted to be. That's the change he believed in. But belief and reality? They don't always walk hand in hand. Night after night, Malik saw the cracks widen. Saw the double standards, the smirks, the quiet violence behind closed patrol car doors. A homeless man shoved for sport. A teen frisked because of a hoodie. Reports written in ways that told only part of the truth. And still, Malik held on. Held on to hope. Held on to the dream that maybe, just maybe, the badge could mean something better. But deep down, beneath the pressed uniform and academy pride, he felt it. The quiet hum of the storm building, and it was only a matter of time before that storm came knocking. They called it the blue curtain. Some folks call it brotherhood, others a shield. But for Malik Carter, it was a wall, thick, cold, heavy, and the moment he pinned that badge to his chest, he could feel it pressing in. The academy made it sound simple: serve, protect, uphold the law. But nobody talked about the whispers, the side glances, the things that happened when the cameras weren't rolling. Malik wasn't green anymore. He'd made it. Through the drills, the written tests, the endless lectures about procedure. But nothing prepared him for the quiet code that lived inside the precinct walls. It started small. Rookie on Malik's squad made a traffic stop in Buckhead. White driver. Expired tags. The sergeant laughed it off, waved the ticket away. Good. Folks don't need that headache, he'd said. Next day, Malik pulled over a young brother from his old neighborhood. Same expired tags, different treatment. The kid left in cuffs. Malik asked questions. The sergeant just smiled. "You'll learn, rookie." But Malik already knew what he meant. The lesson wasn't about laws, it was about lines. Lines drawn between who gets grace and who gets grief. And those lines? They always seemed to wrap tight around skin, like his uniform didn't shield him from it. If anything, it made the target on his back clearer. Some of the other officers acted cool. Gave him nods, shared jokes. But when things got real, when decisions got made, Malik felt it, the shift, the suspicion. The quiet tests. One night, patrol rolled through the south side. Malik sighed. A call came in disturbance outside a corner store. When they pulled up, it was 3 teens, loud but harmless. Malik saw it instantly. His old neighborhood, his old friends. Just kids, but Officer Reed? His hand hovered near his holster. "Step back, Carter," Reed said. "Let me handle this." Malik's chest tightened. He could see the tension crackling in the air, the way the kids' eyes darted, the way their bodies stiffened. They'd seen this movie before, but Malik wasn't an audience member anymore. He stepped in, calm, steady, talked to the teens, got them to cool down, diffused the situation. Nobody hurt, nobody cuffed, but back at the precinct, it wasn't praise he got. "You getting soft?" Reed sneered. "Thought you were one of us." That phrase followed him everywhere. One of us. But Malik was learning. Us didn't always include him. The blue curtain didn't care where you grew up. It cared about silence, loyalty, looking the other way. And Malik? He wasn't built for looking away. The weight pressed heavier with every shift. He watched as the double standards piled up. White teens caught with weed warnings and chuckles. Black teens? Cuffs, records, futures stripped away like it was routine. Malik reported what he could. Documented. Quietly tried to push back. But the walls whispered. The locker room jokes turned sharp. The cold shoulders grew colder. His mama noticed the change. "You okay, baby?" she'd ask, eyes heavy with worry. "Yeah," Malik would lie, "just tired." But it wasn't just fatigue. It was frustration, disgust, a slow-burning anger that sat behind his ribs like hot coal. His father saw through it. "Boy, the system wasn't built for you," Jerome told him one night over dinner. "But don't let it break you either." Malik nodded, but those words, they stuck. The badge he wore wasn't bulletproof for the soul. Every day felt like a test. Stay quiet. Keep your job. Speak up. Risk everything. And as the months passed, the storm Malik felt creeping in Act 1. It was no longer creeping. It was at the door. Waiting. And soon, it was going to blow that blue curtain wide open. The storm didn't knock. It kicked the damn door in. It happened on a Friday. The kind of humid Atlanta night where the air sticks to your skin and the streets hum with quiet tension. Malik and Officer Reed were on patrol. Usual route, usual routine. But the call that crackled through the radio, that changed everything. Suspicious mail. Possible firearm. 12th and Camden. Malik's chest tightened. 12th and Camden. That was his block. His people. The cruiser rolled slow. Reed's knuckles white on the steering wheel. Malik stared out the window, every corner etched with memories. Barbershops, stoops where he used to sit. That old mural faded on the brick wall. And then he saw him, a young black man, hoodie up, headphones in, backpack slung low. Nothing suspicious. Just existing. But that was enough. Reed's foot hit the brakes hard. Malik's pulse jumped. "Gonna check him," Reed said, already reaching for the door. Malik stepped out too, but his gut screamed. The kid saw them coming. Eyes wide, posture stiffening, hands instinctively raising, not in defiance. In fear. Malik knew that fear. He'd worn it himself years back. "Hey, slow down," Malik started, voice calm. But Reed wasn't listening. Gun unholstered, orders barked sharp. "Hands where I can see him. Backpack down." The kid froze, panic flooding his face. "No, no, no." Malik moved between them. Hand out, trying to de-escalate. "Reed, he ain't reaching." But it happened fast. Too fast. Reed shoved Malik aside. Gun raised. The kid flinched. Reached instinctively to pull off his headphones. And that was all it took. The shot echoed like a crack of thunder across the block. The boy dropped. Silence swallowed the street. For a moment, time stopped. Malik's heart slammed against his ribs. His vision tunneled. He hit his knees beside the boy, the kid barely breathing. Blood staining the concrete, dark and unforgiving. It wasn't a weapon in the backpack. It was textbooks. Community college, idea dream. Bleeding out on the sidewalk, Reed's face paled, but the words came rehearsed. Feared for my life. Reached for something. Had to act. Malik's stomach turned. Neighbors poured out phones recording. Voices shouting. Grief breaking through. Every window and doorway. And Malik, badge on his chest. Blood on his hands, trapped between a lie and the truth. The blue curtain descended fast. Statements coordinated. Reports rewritten. Follow protocol. The sergeant barked, but Malik saw. The cracks bigger, uglier than ever. He went home that night, hands trembling, soul heavy. His mama's face crumpled when she saw him. "What happened, baby?" Malik couldn't answer. His father just sat in silence, eyes low. The weight of generations pressed into the lines on his face. By morning, the story hit the news. Young black man shot by police. Suspect reached for object. Officer feared for safety. Same script. Different day. But this time, Malik was inside the lie. And it ate at him, gnawed at the edges of his conscience. The community was boiling. Protests grew louder. Hashtags spread. Grief turned to rage. Malik watched it all. Knowing the truth, the badge wasn't protecting anyone now. It was covering the cracks, but cracks can't stay hidden forever. And Malik? He couldn't either. The storm had come, and it wasn't leaving quietly. The days after the shooting, they bled together. Malik barely slept, couldn't eat, couldn't think straight. The department closed ranks. Press conferences, official statements. Reed placed on administrative leave, the kind of leave where the paycheck still clears, and the walls closed tighter around the truth. But the streets? They weren't buying it. Candles flickered on sidewalks. Posters plastered on street poles. His name, Isaiah Brooks, echoed through the city like a haunting prayer. 17 years old. College bound. Shot down, holding nothing but a dream. And Malik. He carried the weight of that dream crushed under the lie. He tried to file an internal report. The sergeant shut it down. Chain of command, Carter. You speak out, you sink your own ship. But Malik wasn't worried about sinking ships anymore. He was worried about drowning. The guilt. It poured in every second of every day. Every siren he heard. Every uniform he saw. It wasn't pride anymore. It was a prison. And then, the knock at his door. It wasn't the department. It was Isaiah's mother. Angela Brooks. Malik opened the door. And there she stood, grief carved deep into her face. Strength holding her up like brittle bones refusing to break. You were there, she said, voice steady, eyes sharp. Malik couldn't speak. I saw your face on the news, she went on. You from these streets. You know what happened wasn't right. Her words sliced through the silence like a blade. Malik's eyes burned. His throat tightened. I'm sorry, he choked out. Angela's expression didn't flinch. Sorry don't bring my baby back, she whispered. But truth might save the next one. And in that moment, Malik's fear, his training, the blue curtain, it all cracked. The truth. It wasn't just about protocol. It wasn't about protecting the badge. It was about saving whoever came next, because there was always a next. Always another Isaiah. Malik made his choice. He contacted Internal Affairs, filed an official complaint, put his name on the record, and just like that, the machine turned on him. Anonymous threats, whispers in the locker room, tires slashed outside his apartment. The same officers he called brothers now looked through him like glass. But the community? They saw him, they rallied. Protest signs bore Isaiah's face. And Malik's too. You ain't alone, an elder told him outside a vigil, voice cracked with age and struggle. We've been fighting this fight long before you pinned that badge on. And Malik realized the fight wasn't new. It was inherited from the lunch counters of the 60s, from the marchers, over bridges. From every quiet resistance, whispered prayer, and clenched fist that refused to be erased. But now, it was his turn. And this time, the blue curtain wasn't enough to block the truth. The system tried to bury it, but graves don't keep the dead quiet forever. And Isaiah's voice? It was rising, through protests. Through pain, through Malik's own trembling courage. The storm wasn't over, but for the first time, Malik wasn't running from it. He was standing in it. And the truth, it was coming. Truth got a funny way of creeping in. Even when folks do everything to lock the doors. It don't knock. It don't ask permission. It just shows up. And when it showed up for Malik, it came with sirens, cameras, and a whole city watching. The internal investigation opened. Officially. The department tried to play it quiet. Press releases full of empty words. Paid leave for Reed. Promises of thorough review. But Atlanta? Atlanta wasn't quiet. The protests grew louder. Streets packed with anger, grief, and hope. Signs with Isaiah's name. Chants echoing through the neighborhoods Malik grew up in. And Malik? He stood in front of a room full of investigators. Heart pounding like a war drum. He told them everything. The look in Reed's eyes, the way protocol got tossed aside, the lies they tried to stitch together after Isaiah hit the ground. It wasn't easy. His voice cracked. His palms sweated. Every word felt like it could cost him his badge, his job, his safety, but it didn't matter anymore. Isaiah wasn't coming back, but maybe, just maybe, the truth could stop the next boy from bleeding out on the pavement. The backlash came fast. Officers turned cold. Old friends disappeared. The locker room, silent like a graveyard. Some called him a traitor, others, a hero, but Malik ain't need a label. He needed justice. And justice? It moved slow. Weeks dragged into months. City Hall held hearings. News stations ran the story. Reed's face flashed across every TV screen in the state. And then, the decision. Officer Reed terminated. Criminal charges filed. The crowd outside the courthouse that day, it stretched for blocks. Angela Brooks, standing at the front, tear-streaked, steady. Malik met her eyes through the crowd. No words exchanged, but the look said enough. They weren't done fighting, because Reed, he wasn't the whole problem, the whole system. That was the problem, the unwritten rules, the silent bias, the weight of the badge, crushing those it was meant to protect. Malik didn't quit the force. Some thought he would, but quitting? That's not how change works. He stayed, filed reports, backed the good cops, the ones that wanted better, challenged the bad. And when the department whispered, when they tried to ice him out, Malik remembered his father's words. This system wasn't built for you, but don't let it break you either. It didn't break him. It forged him. Every protest he attended. Every young kid he pulled aside with advice. Every time he told the truth, even when his voice shook. It was resistance. It was survival. It was hope. And the storm aging? But Malik Carter? He's still standing. Badge on his chest. Truth on his tongue. And a whole community at his back. Because the weight of the badge? It's heavy, but so is the weight of silence. And Malik? He chose to carry the truth, even when it hurts, even when it's dangerous, even when it costs him everything. Because silence kills, but truth saves lives. Time don't heal everything. That's a lie people tell themselves to sleep at night. But time, it reveals. It peels back the layers, shows you what's real and what's been hiding in plain sight. It's been 2 years since Isaiah Brooks' name bled into the streets of Atlanta. 2 years since Malik Carter stood in that courtroom, telling the truth with his voice shaking, his knees weak, but his heart unflinching. A lot's changed. Some things. Haven single quotes T. The protests slowed, but they didn't stop. The signs faded, but the message stayed. Isaiah's face, still painted on the brick wall at 12th and Camden, bold, unapologetic, a reminder that dreams don't have to die in the streets. Malik walks that block often now, not in uniform. Not with a badge weighing him down, just a man, flesh and bone, carrying scars that don't always show. Angela Brooks, she fights every day. Community meetings, school programs, a mother's grief, turned into fuel. They're not perfect. The system sure as hell ain't fixed. There's still whispers, still crooked looks in the locker room, still young black men gripping steering wheels tight when blue lights flash behind them. But there's cracks in the curtain now. Sunlight's breaking through, little by little. And Malik? He learned something the hard way. Change, real change, it don't come from comfort. It comes from discomfort. It comes from standing alone. When your voice shakes. From choosing truth over silence. From carrying the weight, even when your shoulders feel like they're breaking. The badge, it's just metal and leather. But character? Character's forged in fire. And Malik Carter? He walked through that fire, still standing, still fighting, still believing that tomorrow can be different. If enough of us refuse to look away, and maybe that's all we got. The courage to stand in the storm, the strength to carry the truth, the hope that one day the weight of that badge ain't measured in fear, but in justice. And until that day, we carry on,